Waiting for all TV.
Stand by. All right, stand by. We're having an issue with the stream.
Okay.
All right, good evening. Thanks for your patience. We're good to go, so you may start your meeting. We are live and you're being recorded.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. Prior to this meeting, we were in executive session where we were going over contract negotiations. So it is 7:20. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Rachel, would you do roll call, please?
Yes, Board President Barbara Dayton.
Here.
Vice President Eric Fredrickson.
Here.
Emma Field. Here. Pat Brabant. And not present is Kate Saris.
Thank you very much. If we'd all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment. Spring School Community, a former administrator here, Fred Yardley, passed away recently, and so we would like to remember him. I think, are you coming up to speak? Yeah. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I am speaking on behalf of dear family members and former students and teachers and Owen McCormick, who can't be here tonight. He's at a game. But I'd like to read to you an excerpt from Pete Lacey, who was a former superintendent here many, many years ago, who wrote a eulogy at Fred's funeral last week. Spring School has 3 lions who will always be guarding the gates of Spring School. They serve as role models and keepers of an ethos that still exists. Bill Likey, Fred Yardley, and Hugh King. This does not diminish the many outstanding educators that served in that school, past and present, and 2 board members in particular, George Sid Miller and Ed Holtz. However, institutions develop a culture that is bored into their fabric, and it does not just appear. It is born of a belief system of individuals. This culture often comes from the leaders of an organization. Fred started at Spring School in 1960 and worked there every day for 29 years. First as a social studies teacher, a coach, then a guidance counselor, then an administrator. By DNA, he believed he went every day to serve the children and families of Springs. So did Bill and so did Hugh. And together they built the ethos that Springs is proud of to this day. You might say that does not sound so earth-shattering. Well, in the school business, a school whose sole focus is on the students is one who knows its business well. Children's needs were the only needs that were important. Kids matter seems simple. Most schools do not get this simple equation correct. The Bonnet community learned early in his career as a teacher, then a counselor, coach, and administrator, that Fred was a man of his word and could be counted on, especially in a crisis, and most importantly, he cared deeply about helping kids and families. There was no stone Fred would have unturned if it needed turning to help children or a family or anyone in town or the village for that matter. Fred was a fixer. He helped you fix things in your life that needed fixing. Fred gave, and he gave, and he gave. He didn't worry about a time clock or that a problem was preventing something from happening. Fred found some way or someone to solve it. It did not have to be part of the curriculum or follow a state mandate. If it was good for kids, Fred made it happen. If a child needed help, Fred made sure that child received the help that was needed. If a teacher needed help, Fred found a way to make that happen too. He often offered help before you even knew you needed it. Fred got more people and kids jobs in this community than any agency ever could. Fred served. He never once asked back a thing, never kept a list of who he helped and who might owe him. Fred served. Like every great teacher, he had done something for another human being with no intention of ever being given credit for it, yet that person or family had never forgotten. It is through his service to others that his legacy in this community will never be forgotten. Fred Yardley has been a pillar of this community for many years. He was a founding member of Spring School, and today he moves on into the history of this community. Fred's children taught at Spring School. One of Fred's granddaughters went to this school, and it is Fred that we give credit for the osprey being our mascot at Spring School. So
Thank you very much, Mrs. Frazier. If we could all observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we jump into an additional recognition of our students, we do have some business that we need to take care of here, which is a presentation by our auditor. Jeff Jones of EFPR is joining us to briefly publicly go over the findings from the recent internal audit. So Jeff, you're on.
All right. Thank you very much. If you'd like, I don't know if you prefer to give me screen sharing ability or if you want to open up the presentation so everyone can see it and I can let you know when to go through it. Perfect. Thank you. So as is mentioned, my name is Jeff Jones. I'm a director with EFPR, and I'm here to go over the results of the June 30th, 2023 audit. Now, the numbers have been gone through in detail with the board as well as with management previously. So here I'm just going to be going through the more high-level general results of the audit. Next page, please. So when we start an audit, we develop an audit approach where we perform a detailed risk assessment of the district. We go through and we identify the significant audit areas and obtain a detailed understanding of the controls of each area. We then design tests in order to test the effectiveness of the controls. And then based on those tests, we develop certain audit programs for each significant audit area. Just as an example, we want to make sure that we're not auditing the district's cash the same as we would revenue. We want to make sure that we're doing very specific and detailed testing that really suit each audit area specifically. Next slide, please. We issued unmodified opinion on the following reports. It's the basic financial statements, the federal grants compliance audit, which is also known as single audit. This is something that all nonprofits and governments are required to have if they receive federal funding in excess of $750,000 a year. We also did the audit of the extra classroom activity funds. I'm happy to say that all records and information that was requested by EFPR were freely available for inspection. And also want to note that an unmodified opinion really is the best opinion that we are allowed to give. It means there's no material modifications to the numbers or any reports, and it's just a good, clean opinion to receive. Next slide, please. We identified a certain deficiency in internal control of financial reporting. It's just in regards to the district's payroll records in the system. This is something the district has already gone through and addressed and is going to be correcting going forward. We noted no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or the compliance findings with the major federal programs or uniform guidance. The major programs that we did test were the Education Stabilization Fund, as well as Title I grants. Next slide, please. For the report to the board, we know that significant accounting practices were described in Note 1 of the financial statements. All accounting estimates were reasonable and supported. The financial statement disclosures were all neutral, consistent, and clear. We had no difficulties in performing the audit, and there was no change to our initial planned audit strategy. Next slide, please. We are not aware of any consultations about accounting or auditing matters between management and other accountants. We had no disagreements with management about any items, and there's no other matters that we felt relevant to bring up and communicate to the board at this time. And that's actually all that I have. Again, it's more of a brief overview presentation. I just want to open up if there's any questions for me.
Yeah, I think we're all set at this time. So we're happy that we have unmodified opinions on things overall. And yes, we are aware of a couple of things have to be fixed, which we've gone over with you. So, no, thank you very much for being able to be here and sharing this publicly.
Of course, you're very welcome. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Yes, while in exec, we were also going over things with our auditor, so forgot to mention that. So moving into items of recognition. Currently the school board member recognition week.
That's me. So October is board recognition across New York State, and Board of Ed positions are voluntary. You're elected by the community, as you know, and you act on behalf of not only the taxpayers and your neighbors, but on behalf of all the students in spring school, and on behalf of the students, the parents, the staff. It is with really gratitude, admiration for the time and effort that you put in that we thank you and we recognize you for your service tonight as Board of Ed members. We know that you have busy lives, you have jobs, and yet you make time to give back to your community, and we're very grateful. We have just a small token. Maybe we can get a picture.
Okay.
So this comes from New York State School Boards Association, School Board Recognition Week, honoring, and everybody's name is there, dedicated leadership in public education, continuing service to the children of this community. Is there?
Thank you very much.
Here. And I did have a small token in my office to give you guys on your way out from Saratoga.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Deborah.
You want to get a picture? You want to stand up by the?
Is that you right there? Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, stand right here.
You guys all dressed for winter, I don't know. Okay.
Got it?
Very nice.
Okay, thank you. No more thanks very much.
That's why we did it.
And now the board would like to recognize some students for outstanding athleticism.
I'm going to ask Mr. King to step up. So we have some students who have really excelled here in really since I think as early as 6th grade, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So besides doing my presentation that I'm going to be doing in a little bit, I'm here to recognize a couple of our 8th grade athletes that this fall season were asked to play up at the high school level. First one that I'd like to recognize is Landon Pitts. Landon, come on up. Landon, this is his 2nd year playing golf, JV golf up at the high school. This year, his team went undefeated, and Personally, he had a 9-1 record. So there's obviously big things for him in the future. I'm sure he's playing behind some other talented juniors and seniors up there, but these next couple of years, it'll definitely be his time. Right? So stay up here, Landon, and then because I'm sure we'll get a picture after. Second is Gabby Montes. Gabby, come on up. Set to lose Gabby this year as I coach the girls soccer team here. They took her up at high school and she played varsity soccer and started all the games up there as a defender, which is where she played for me last year. Like I said, she started in every game and she's part of a very young team that has a very bright future. When I got to meet a lot of the girls or go see the varsity team and watch her play a couple times this year, I did see that there were a lot of Springs girls that were still playing soccer, which was great to see. And I know that Gabby plays on a very good travel team, and a lot of those girls combined with the girls at East Hampton that are also playing, again, they have a very bright future. And finally is Lucy Knight. Come on, Lucy. Lucy is also on varsity. She is doing varsity swim. Her coach, Coach Brierly, is here as well. I know Lucy's been swimming for a very long time. This year she swam the 100 backstroke and did the 200 and 500 freestyle. She won twice in meets this year at the varsity level in the 500, and she qualified for the league swim tournament, which is this Friday. I believe in Sayville, and depending on how she does there, she may qualify as well for the counties. So these are all great athletes. I know a lot of them do multiple sports in our school, volleyball, basketball. So it's a very rare thing to have so many students up at the high school level. The fact that there are coaches up there that are coming down the Springs and they're recognizing our students is really nice. And again, this doesn't happen a lot, especially when you have to combine with Montauk and East Hampton. So it's a big pool to come from, so you should be very proud. Okay, congratulations.
Any board members want to get in?
No, kids do it myself. Get the parents with them. Get the parents with them.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good work, good work. Well done.
And good luck on Friday.
Yes.
Very much, Mr. King. Hearing our student successes is always the highlight of any meeting when we get to hear about stuff like that. Thank you.
Of course. No, it's very nice to see a lot of them getting recognized.
We also asked John, since he was coming to introduce the students to present on forms that are going electronic, just like East Hampton High School. So,
Okay.
My on next as well.
you have the form up there?
Do you want a
There you
go.
presentation
There
or
we
you
go.
want, okay.
I thought I was next. So besides, again, recognizing the students there, just to give a quick athletics update. One last year, I know when I spoke, we talked about the concussion testing. We're currently still using the same program, the impact testing. Since the testing began last year, we had about 5 students that had a concussion diagnosed in grades 7 and 8, which are the grades that we're testing. Of those students, 2 of them did have their doctor ask for the data, and they did decide to use it. Some of them, it's up to the doctor. So if they decide they want to just use their own analysis of the situation, then that's fine too. But we're happy to at least give them some data if they choose to use it. This year we had our 7th and 8th graders tested during the second week of school, during their PE classes. So all 7th and 8th graders right now have at least had their baseline test. And should their doctor ask for one, we would give them a post test. Seasonal travel release form. This is something that's new. East Hampton started this, so it's something that I had planned in the future, but when I saw that they had released theirs, I had sent it to our administration to review. So now, if somebody wants to do just a one form for that particular season, they could indicate those parents, guardians that can pick those students up. This way, that coach could just keep that form on file for the entire season. So it's like a one-time thing. Yeah, you can show kind of what it looks like. Okay, something like this. And this is also on the athletics tab on our school homepage. I also have the one-time usage ones. I kept those on there as well in case it's something last minute. A parent could print that out and get it done for that day. As long as a lot of times the parents have been great with printing them out. I know Mr. Frederickson's done it for sports as well, where signs it, scans it, sends it to me. I go to the administration so they can stamp it and they're good to go for the day. But this would save, I know, some of the parents that may want to do it frequently, a little bit of time. Something else that's come up, and Ms. Winter just asked me to share this with you, is lack of officials. It's a big problem through all of Long Island and New York State, especially for us out here on the East End. That requires some travel. So there are officials that say they're not going to travel certain distances. A lot of times, I know this particular year, Section 11 and the Officials Association, they didn't reach an agreement till like the last minute, like to the point where high school sports, there was, they didn't know what they were going to do, if they were going to have officials. So then when all that got arranged, we didn't really have many officials assigned to our soccer teams. That's where we need officials. Tennis and cross country don't require them. So it wasn't until just last week that I finally had an official at one of my soccer games. I did look into it more though, and as far as on the business side of things, we do give officials fees that were due at the beginning of October, and we will be reimbursed for any time that they did not send an official to do any of our games. So we get that back during, like they deduct from the spring bill on that end. But I did reach out, and luckily we have had some officials in our last couple of games, but just something to keep in mind.
And on the agenda tonight, we will be approving some of our staff to be officials so that our coaches can coach.
John, how are you running games without officials?
So yeah, as Ms. Winter said, what we've been able to do was at a chaperone pay, slightly elevated chaperone pay. We've reached out to different staff members. Again, those are on that list that are going to be approved tonight, that have been willing to just stay and officiate games. Some of them may not have as much of a background. I know for me, I've had Mr. Haberman. He's been terrific in volunteering just as the chaperone to get out there with the whistle and just having a little knowledge of the game. It really saves us as coaches. Because like I said, how do you do it? You know, you're at the middle school level and you're trying to teach kids the basics of how to play sports. And I'm sitting there with my sheet in my pocket trying to make subs and coach kids out on the field and blow the whistle and watch the game. So we've been fortunate to have some staff members step up. I've done it for some of the boys soccer games, and the boys soccer coach, he's done it for some of mine. In the winter for basketball, Mr. Sarlo, he even went and got his certification through the Officials Association to referee some games. So it's been much appreciated that these people will be willing to do that, because you got to deal with the fans sometimes, and that could be tough. But we've been getting by with that. Final forms. This is the major change, and really main part of the presentation is we're now going digital with our sports signups here. It's something that East Hampton High School has been doing. It's most of Suffolk County now is doing. We were doing a lot of pen and paper, and we've finally been approved to move through into the digital world, which is great. It's going to save everybody time. It's going to keep us in compliance, and it has a lot of neat tools that parents, coaches, and the students can use. If you go,
Is that the workshop you're on?
yeah, please. It'll go into a bunch of slides, but hopefully a couple show up. I can just show you briefly what it looks like on my end and some of the things that it can do. So if you go scroll down where final forms start, you'll see it down further, like 3 more slides down. Right? And you keep going down a couple more.
So final forms is actually like a product kind of.
Yeah, it's so basically all the forms that I was giving out for these students to fill out. It's a bunch of, there's, you know, the parent, where the parent signs up their permission slip, the parent permission slip, the health interval history forms. Those are now all on there digitally, and just kind of like when you go to the doctor's office for a visit, it'll reset after each season, that health forms. So this way, if there were any changes to the form, just like they ask you when you go to the doctor, a parent could indicate that maybe the athletes developed asthma, or maybe they recently broke something. And so this way our nurses will be alerted in the system. I've been through a training with it. The nurses went through a training. So all that paperwork is now on there. So I sent it out on Parent Square already. We just launched it about a week ago. So parents now have already started the process. I've been reviewing it with the students during their PE classes. And I'm going to be meeting with all the 7th and 8th grade athletes for this next season to remind them again, because I know this is going to be an adjustment for everybody. But it does have a lot of neat tools. If you go down, Mr. Marciniak, if you keep going, like something like that, yeah, one of those. So like, here's an example of what it looks like. This is a nurse's view here. It's the medical mode. So I have something similar that it doesn't have all the health indications. So right there, if a student's not highlighted all the way across in green, they cannot try out. They are not cleared to play. In order for their name to get highlighted in green, the parents must fill out all those same forms that we were requiring to do pen and paper. The students must go and fill out the student athlete code of conduct that I created. Just, I'm going to take care of my uniform, you know, those types of things, academic eligibility. And then the nurse does the last part, which is their physical. She checks to make sure they have an updated physical. And which is nice about this system is that the parents at home, if they're getting low on their physical, which, for example, it's in yellow over there on the left, they'll get a notification when it's 100 days out, 50 days out, 20 days out. So there's more than enough reminder for them to go get an updated physical for the next season. All those little dots to the left of those yellow boxes or green, those are all health alerts. So those are for the coaches. On the right side there, there's it says e-card. There's a red button there. So if a coach is emergency and needs to contact a parent, they've already inputted all their information on there, and the coach just clicks that, and the emergency information is there for them. So it'll be an adjustment to start, and there's really, you can do so many things with it, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. It'll help in the case of emergencies and being in contact with everybody. You can shoot out emails to parents and students through here to your teams. So I think it'll be great for us to transfer over and get the kids used to it for when they enter the high school.
How does the information, so you're saying that like somebody who who's not highlighted in green, they might not have all their forms filled in.
Correct.
How is that person's information in this account at all? Is it pulling it from the school system, or is it going by kids who sign up for the sport, then somehow their information gets input? Or?
So the parent or guardian has to sign up for their account. So that'll get their name at least on there.
Gotcha.
And it'll start the forms process.
Okay.
And then in that process, at some point, they have to put the student email address. So that's how the student will get the email. They'll create a login, and now they can go complete their forms.
Okay, so that's only gonna happen once for the students, like if you sign up in 7th grade, will your information still be there in 8th grade?
Yes, but all the buttons turn red after the season.
After the season, so your name will be in there, you just have to redo the form for each sport that you play.
Yeah, or at least review it. And you know, basically that's, as from a liability end, it's parents saying that all their information is still correct.
Okay. And this is independent information, it's not getting pulled from what's in the school, this is a separate input that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those what our forms that we were giving out, it was the same thing.
Right, okay.
In this account, even through spring school into East Hampton High School, they'll still have this account. They can alter the information, or is that something they have to
Unfortunately, I tried. It would make sense, and I hope in the future they figure that out. I had asked them if they could somehow umbrella us and Montauk and underneath East Hampton, and East Hampton High School would have preferred that as well, but it has to be its own thing. So even our students that just did field hockey and football at East Hampton, and those parents had to do final forms, a lot of them reached out to me today, and I said, unfortunately, you have to redo it in the springs again.
Right. Okay.
But then once they, at least in 9th grade, unless it's figured out, that's great. But if not, you do it as a 9th grader in East Hampton High School, it'll be.
And they'll be
with
good
you.
for 4 years.
You're still saving a lot of the time and paperwork, and
and they'll
one
be
extra
familiar.
convenience would be nice, but it's not that big of a hurdle if you have to do that one time, with spring school.
That's that. If you want to go back to the presentation, please. I think there's only one other thing I wanted to touch on. And just something else that I wanted to mention, something that's going to be mandated for next school year is this program called Anyone Can Save a Life. In the AD workshops that I go to, they're still giving more and more information on it, but basically what it is it's going to be mandated that with all of our sports teams, we go through a, what's what I'm looking for? Kind of like a trial of like an emergency situation. So yeah, simulation, thank you, Rachel. That's why you're here. Besides the lovely speech you gave. A simulation of an emergency situation. So basically, if you use my soccer team, I would explain to them, all right, let's use a situation. I go down, what do we do? What do the kids do? So you go and practice that. So as athletic director, I would go and oversee this, teaching the kids the information, what they should be doing, kind of gaining their knowledge of what they would do in that situation. And it just helps should the situation arise of any emergency in the future. So it is something that's going to be mandated. I actually plan on giving it a try with some of the teams in the future now that I'm not coaching after today for a while. So I think it's important, and it'll be just good to be on the extra safe side.
Right. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Coach.
Do we have a student council update this evening? Okay. But we do have a PTA update,
tonight, right?
I believe.
That's happened.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm Jane Cartman, the president of the PTA. And Brittany is our legislative and advocacy and membership chair. Multiple hats.
All of that. So I'm going to start off with a bit more of a traditional update that you all have received going back to last school year, prior school year, and then the transition over to Jane. We're going to get down to business. So far we've had a great fundraiser this year, and really happy that we were able to exceed our goal. We made $10,000 with our Cherry Doll fundraiser versus $8,000 last year. So just really thank you to the students of the school and to the community for supporting that. It's a great success. Our next fundraiser is going to be the Turkey Trot, which is going to be on Monday, November 20th. So we're planning that, and we're going to be kicking a lot of information about that off next week. Monique Sullivan, who is a second grade teacher here, is actually chairing that with the support of other members of the PTA. The book fair began on Monday. If you haven't had a chance, head over to the small gym during school hours and check it out. That's being chaired by Shelby Sinelli and a lot of other volunteers who have been tirelessly working at the book fair this week. It's been really thrilling to actually see the students come in, get excited about a book, and really make it their own. And today, actually, the administration was kind enough to announce that Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the new edition, was out, and there were at least 5 students that rushed in right away. I think we sold a total of
So we sold 21 out of the 38 that they sold, and we didn't have a class that came in that was age appropriate during that shopping time. So we still haven't had a full class come in that would be wanting to buy that book. So there was kids that had been dying for it. I mean, I think I was tracking UPS. I was stalking.
Yeah.
And once it got delivered, I ran out to the portal.
Yeah. So just really amazing to see that we have some readers here at Springs who are really excited about that book series and excited about everything that was offered. So thank you, Shelby, for launching that and putting that on for all of us. One of our goals this year is to really engage the parents of the school who maybe are not interested in joining the PTA as current executive board members or future executive board members, but they want to get in and volunteer when they can. And so we held a social at Springs Tavern last week and felt like that was really successful. A really nice way to engage community members. And we plan to have more of those throughout the school year so that we can just continue to keep a beat on what's happening in our school community. I'm really happy to say we had a very diverse showing across grade levels, across disciplines and professional life. And so it was really nice to just have some of those conversations and make really good connections with other parents at the school.
And just to note, the parent socials are open for the entire community. Like we hope to see everyone there.
Yeah, please. So our next general PTA meeting is November 2nd. It'll be here in the library from 6 to 7. And at that date, we'll be confirming details for the turkey trot, discussing PTA sponsored field trips, and other potential events before the end of 2023. With that, we'll pass it to Jane.
Great. So thank you so much, Brittany. So we just want to get into a little bit of a habit of like continuing the conversation around our objectives. We want to be very deliberate, and we just want to get stuff done, and we want to hold ourselves accountable to what we set out to do. And so at the beginning of the year, we actually met with the new administration, and we talked a little bit about like what we would like to see for the future of our school, hopefully in the not too distant future. And we thought about 3 things that we think are pretty broad, but encompass what we would all like to see. So one of those things was longevity across staff positions. The other was fluid communication and inclusion across the school community. And the third was the high standard of education and extracurricular, right? And open to feedback, obviously. And so what we want to get into the habit of doing now is like, what are we doing as the PTA to accomplish those things? So we would like to report that to you, right? So on the longevity across staff positions, I mean, we're really looking for help, right? We actually want to know what more we can do. We are collaborating with the STA. We're trying to fulfill any kind of school needs when possible, and asking obviously what is needed from the teachers. We want to, and we do very much support the campaign for competitive pay. We are here. One of the messages that really is like we're here and open and listening to what we can do for this to be, for us to succeed here, right? The second thing, so around fluid communications and inclusion across the school community, we are supporting teachers with the class parent program. Most of our, definitely all of the elementary school classes, some middle school now have a class parent liaison that the teachers could engage with. They can help support classroom needs. They can help planning. They can help with communication. One of the major things for us and why we wanted to have a representative is so we can get communications out to each parent, but above and beyond that, the teacher and the class parent can work together as needed. We're also supplying all of our written PTA communications in English and Spanish. We have Spanish-speaking board members on the PTA that are obviously contributing very much to our ability to be able to translate. So we are very much, focused on making sure that we have a broad reach. And for the last one, the high standard of education and extracurricular, we are working with teachers right now to understand what their needs are around what they're learning across different times during the year. We'd like to align some of our field trips that we will be sponsoring later on in the spring to somehow relate and coincide to the education and that the kids are getting in the classroom. So we are working with them on ideas there. Our pre-K engagement lead was not here today. It's Danielle Fine with others, has been doing a lot of work on supplementing sort of some extracurricular programs for the pre-K students in partnership with other community members. So we've had, different professions come in to talk to the pre-K kids. We've had the fire department come in to talk about fire safety. Like there was a lot of different, and there's going to be more that are happening. So we're really trying to engage there. I believe there's also going to be a potential tennis program that they're going to be doing with just like parent volunteers and donations across the community. So, it's not perfect yet. It's a small start, but we are very eager to make progress against that. And so I think we're asking for your partnership, but we also want to hold you accountable to some things as well. So our ask to the Board of Education and the administration is really around how can we support your positions to influence other elected officials in the town and partner with these elected officials to really help improve our funding. We will help you every step of the way. We really need your support there. And I think that flows into some other things that we really want to make sure that we can do, right? So as we go into budgeting in the next couple of weeks, maybe even less than that, do we have a clear understanding of what we need to budget for to make sure that our teachers' salaries are comparable, right, for market? Do we have a study? We want to, in a perfect world, we'd love to say, hey, we raised $1 million this year, and we're gonna give you 600,000 of that, and we'll do it every single year. But in reality, we're asking for how else we could support, and we do think that maybe one of those outlets is really to work with the town officials. I know we made some minor progress on that last year, but it felt like there wasn't much follow-up after that. So, and we've taken some steps last year to meet with Brett Field, to meet with Peter Van Syak. I don't think that we're holding our elected officials accountable enough. So how can we help do that? And how can we help support you? So that's all I got for today.
That's a lot.
But we are very excited to work with you, and we're very excited for the school year. And we feel very hopeful that it's going to be a phenomenal year. And so I'll see you obviously before that, but till next meeting.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, you sounds like you're up to a very ambitious start covering a wide variety of areas. I think it's really great. I love that you have got past class parents signed up. It was something the communications committee had talked about. I'm really glad to see that panned out. I think they'll be really helpful, and I'm sure we will be having ideas for you. And you're very gung-ho. I think it's fabulous. It's really what we need.
Okay. So. Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Okay, before we jump into our items of board business, we have time for public commentary number 1, which dedicated strictly to our items of board business, which are personnel, finance, pretty much that. So if there's somebody.
We do have a caller on the line.
Okay, so caller, if you want to put that person through, this is just to comment on these items of personnel or finance only at this time. So you can put the caller through.
All right, caller, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Good evening. This is David Buddha. I have first a question with regard to the audit presentation. I do know that you post the financial statements on your website. I'm just wondering if you can estimate approximately when you'll be able to post this year's financial statements.
That didn't come up during the conversation with the auditor, so I don't have an answer for you for that right now.
Okay. And then I have a comment with regard to a finance matter. I took a look at the treasurer's report, which is item K, and I have some questions, and I would hope that the business official can address my questions when he presents that treasurer's report. I know that we have 7 distinct reserve accounts. Based on the budget information, you estimated that the 7 reserve accounts at the end of the year would total approximately $4 million. In the bank treasurer's report, I see an itemization of 2 of those reserve funds. By the way, there's a typo in Fund A878. It's described as a second repair reserve. In fact, that's the capital reserve. So my question is, where are the other 5 reserve accounts maintained, if not in one of the bank accounts? Are they commingled in some other account? I'm not sure how that works. So if you could just explain why your report only specifically identifies 2 of the 7 reserve accounts. Then the last question that I asked that you or he address is that there is in the bank, as of the end of June, $2.1+ million from the leftover or still remaining unspent from the 2018 capital project. That's the big major expansion of the school. My question is that retainage, or is that unspent funds, or is that funds that were reimbursed by state and town septic sewer funding? Some explanation would be appreciated if you could explain why, as of the end of this year, June of this year, we still have $2.1 million in that capital project. What's the status? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to address them now, or
Yes,
do you want me when we get to the treasury reports?
If you can either address them now or when we get to the treasury reports.
Sure. With regards to the capital project funding, that funding, we still haven't paid all the capital project bills yet. We still are negotiating with our engineers and our architect with regards to the gym floor. So there are some outstanding bills, which is part of that 2.1 million-ish change that you see in that capital fund. So that is still a bill outstanding that we're still going back and forth. I'm sure we discussed that, I believe, board meeting before, 2 ago, about regarding the gym floor. So we are holding that back for now until we get a clear answer with regard. So there are bills outstanding for the large capital project that was initiated a couple of years ago. So that is part of that $2.1 million.
Okay.
With regards to the funding for the reserves, I'll look into that. Let me look into that a little further with regards to how it is allocated to the treasury reports. And this is done by our outside accountants, so I will get a clear answer for next time for that.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone here with a personnel or finance item? Yes, please come up.
Hi, Summer Romeo. I was hoping you guys could answer a few questions regarding the audit report that was just given earlier. So I know that audit report was through June 30th. When was the audit complete and presented to the Board of Education?
At 6:30, 6 o'clock is when it was presented to us. So yes, so
But
that
you
was.
had a copy of it.
We had a copy of it last week, yes. So that was, it was for the year finishing June 30th, and they've been here since then to do last year's report.
So it was only complete last week?
Yes.
So I guess that leads me into my next question, because the audit report was only completed last week,
And in that report, it says that the district's accounting records did not accurately reflect certain employees' salaries. So my question to the board is, how did administration adjust salaries that were incorrectly being paid before this audit report was even presented?
What do you mean? How did people adjust something?
She's saying if we just found out last week that they're wrong.
No, we didn't find out just last week that they were wrong. That was when the audit report was finished.
Right, so the adjustments in the salaries for the teachers' assistants, that was triggered by the audit report, is that correct?
No,
By the auditors?
no.
So administration found the errors. Okay.
There's multiple auditors.
Right. So with regards to all of these, seven, I'm assuming at least 7 different people spoke at the last meeting that there were errors. Did the administration and the board take the time in the last 2 weeks to explain to the teacher assistants what exactly happened? I don't need to know, but did you and administration speak to the teacher assistants and explain?
There's an actual audit going on of payroll, which we do not have the results of at this time. And so when those results are available, we would be able to explain to people what happened.
So as of now, the school district just said, your salary was incorrect. We have changed it and we're not giving you an explanation.
No.
We're in negotiations.
It's. I understand that you want to know the stuff, but there's stuff, negotiations that are going on with that. So
the district and administration owes an explanation to the teacher assistants sooner than later. And that should have been done before a change was made in their salaries. That's just general accounting practices and payroll practices. Okay. Will the board be holding some sort of accountability in administration and the school district for these inaccuracies in payroll?
The whole situation has to be looked into, and then we will come up with an answer after that.
So it's just, but will the board, I'm asking, will the board hold somebody accountable?
The board has issued the internal auditors to do an entire payroll accountability, every single staff member that's been paid in the last 3 years is being audited.
So this has been going on for at least 3 years and it was just triggered this year?
As I just said, it's being looked into, so we're not going to make any comments on it right now.
Snowball that's we're trying to figure out what happened. As for now, the teacher assistants are just to sit with their pay cuts with no explanation, and
I don't think that's an accurate representation.
Sit and wait while their salaries have been adjusted and they're waiting for an explanation.
We have contract negotiations going on with them right now, so we're really not going to speak about that.
Okay, so I just think that the Board of Ed should hold accountability across the entire district, especially because you guys are overseeing the budget.
Right, we understand that.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, let's jump into the personnel items, Deb.
Okay, I'm going to go through them rather quickly. You have extracurricular that was left off the last time. You have mentor coordinator, tech coordinator, High Tide Literacy magazine, which hasn't been around for a couple of years, so we're told to see that back. You have salary adjustments. These are per the STA contract when teachers get their extra credits. We have been very fortunate to continue to find substitutes in the nursing area, uncertified subs and lunch monitors. We continue to advertise and recruit. Here's your appointment of referees. You can see the number of people that have stepped up. Last year, we negotiated $60 per game. for these individuals. We're very grateful for them. We have a conference for Rachel. ASBO does do a district clerk conference, and then you have a conference with Maureen at the ASBO conference. Winter sports, Mr. King has put in for basketball, boys, and girls volleyball. You can see the coaches there. Additional teaching for Spire. You can remember about 3 years ago, we entered into a Spire reading program. It's a special ed program, and it is per their IEP. One individual will be doing it not every day, so that's where it's a 0.12. And then the other teacher has to do it every day, so it comes out to a 0.2. This is consistent with the STA contract, and it will be special ed funded. We have a new contract for Marion Clary, the head bus driver. That's her 6th amendment in 7 years. Brenda Crozier, this is her 5th amendment to her contract. 2nd amendment for Kevin Jones, the maintenance crew leader. Cynthia Pantol is the only person in the district that is BCBA certified. She works with behaviors of students either identified special ed or not identified to try to decrease their behaviors. We did that last year also, Cynthia. Hourly appointments, we have, we're still short in the business office an employee. We are still working with civil service to see what would be the best fit for that office. But in the meantime, Brenda has volunteered to work extra hours to help them. And then we have additional chaperone for events from one of our substitutes.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions from the board at this time? Okay, do I have a motion to move finance, not finance, wrong, scroll too far there, personnel items A through H, N to consent agenda? Second? All in favor? Aye.
Wait, just to correct, was it N or through P?
It was N.
Was there another one there that I missed?
No, mine is showing through N on.
N, hourly appointments.
Right, and his.
On mine, it's P.
P?
But so that's hourly appointments also, but is that today's?
Board docs is N.
Yeah. Are you in board docs?
Yeah.
Well, you have something extra in there then.
You want to do a quick cross type?
Rachel, what do you have?
Again.
N.
And this is.
Do you want me to read it down?
How could you have something different than everybody else? G stipends, H.
Was there maybe something P and then it's not refreshed on mine and it went from P to N?
Maybe you have to.
Not in the last 24 hours.
You're not an editor, so you wouldn't be able to move things around.
We're just cross checking.
What does your hard copy say? Oh, just saying, I have the hard copy. One dot N. You're missing two.
You're missing two.
No, if you
I have.
I don't know what happened there. Cynthia Pantol was M. Oh, I know. Yes. When did you open this?
This might be a couple days.
Yes,
Okay.
that's why.
You gotta refresh that, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta refresh it.
Yeah, so N, you've approved through N, okay, very good. All right, thank you. So, yeah, we're finance here, information from Steve. You want to go over the
Sure.
finance items, please?
First, we have the revenue and appropriation status for June. Next, we go to finance items. A, we have the claims order report for August, and the next is for September. And then we have the warrant for the A, F, and H fund for September. And D, we have an agreement for 2023-24 with scope for the PK, for the pre-K. Item E, we have a contract with GBC Ground Care for snow removal services for 23 and 24. F, I'd like to thank Ms. Winter for a donation for water bottles of $205.90 for custodial maintenance staff. G, we have disposal of 2 metal desks that are 3x5 1970 drawer desks that are damaged and hazardous. And H, we have a contract with East Hampton, an IMA contract for transportation for 3 of our students to Sequoia for the 23-24 school year. I, we have the school budget development calendar for the 24-25 budget. J, we have budget transfers. H, we have the treasurer's reports for June of 2023.
And all right. Did we look at the budget development calendar yet? Is this the one that we went over? Am I thinking about last year's? I don't know.
You need to cross-reference the budget calendar with our calendar and see if we need to make any changes to the regular board calendar.
Oh, to the regular board calendar, you're saying?
On the budget calendar, all the presentations that I put in are on board dates.
Right, okay.
Obviously, we can change those whenever we see fit.
Okay. All right, so we'll have to look at this and figure out in terms of like budget workshops that are happening, say March or so. Is that actually taking over a regular workshop, or would there be just the budget workshop meeting?
Right. I put those as our actual budget, or I'm sorry, board meeting dates, but those are changeable whenever we see fit.
Right.
There's some that aren't with regards to some sort of state
So
guidelines.
Budget workshop number 1, January 9th. When was last year's?
We were early last year as well.
January 2nd.
And the same goals are the same in that we're going to start from scratch.
So we had February 8th was our, looks like our first budget workshop number 1. So, and now here we have many documents opened up. Where'd it go? That's not it.
I'm gonna go past January and put in board dates on my calendar.
Budget calendar.
But it looks like most of the budget workshops are on Board of Ed workshop dates, Barbara.
Right, so we're actually starting a month earlier than last year by the looks of it, which is probably good for starting from scratch, so we're ahead.
Again, to get some direction from the board.
Right, okay.
Whatever reports you want to see ahead of time.
Okay.
After the auditors do the payroll, they are going to sit with Steve to roll forward our current expenses and see where we will be at the end of the year, best estimate for your fund balance.
So when is that finishing up with them?
First, they have to finish up payroll.
Right, yeah.
And then they'll look at
okay.
Our current, they'll have at least 3 months worth of expenses.
Right,
but they'll be able to generate what will that look like by June.
Okay, sounds good.
And that's all your internal auditors doing those things.
Okay, right. Any other questions on the finance items right now? Okay, do I have a motion to approve finance items A, or to move finance items A through K to consent agenda? Second? All in favor? Aye. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the minutes from the September 12th regular meeting, September 26th regular meeting, September 26th workshop, the October 10th regular meeting, and the October 10th workshop. Do I have a motion? Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. We also have a presentation on special education.
All you have there is your committee meetings, 504 cases, 1 through 8, and 1 CSE case with the board.
Yeah. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the recommendations from the Committee on Special Education, 504 cases 1 to 8, and CSE case 1. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. No policy this month, but we were going to go into our principals report, starting with a video and chess club.
Thank you, Ms. Dayton. Yes, we have two potential great clubs that we have student interest in, and then also adult interest in as well. One first was the chess club that was previously held here last year. It was grant funded, which we're still hoping that we can reach out and get that as well. And the second is the video club, which we have a local documentary filmmaker who's willing to come here and work with a teacher and work with students to help our children in this club express themselves and share video and hopefully produce some really amazing things. Also, there's at this time, an anonymous sponsor of that club willing to donate $3,000 as well. So we're seeking board approval to post these two additional stipend positions. That's section A. Do you want me to go right into B with the school academic intervention plan? This is a plan that needs to be updated every 2 years and posted on our website. Academic intervention, we really want to make sure that all students have the chance to be successful. So we're taking a look at students who are at risk of not mastering our standards, and ultimately those who, when they are faced with a state assessment, are set up for success on that. So there's two components of this program, and that would be the instruction program, the instruction portion, as well as the student support service. So do students need help with counseling, attendance, study skills, etc.? So the way students are identified in this, the state has laid out groundwork for kindergarten through second grade, as well as a 3rd through 8th grade process. We're going to be using a 2-step process for each one, just to make sure that the data we're putting forward is a rigorous set of data. So for K2, we'll be looking at Fontes and Pinnell and STAR early literacy. For our youngsters in ELA, and then for math, we have the STAR mathematics assessment coupled with iReady. When we get into the 3rd through 8th grade, that is based on our mainly actually 4th through 8th grade, because we will have state assessment data. That's based on a median scale score that the state releases. It's on the last page of this for each grade level in English, language arts, and mathematics. And from there, the students who are scoring below that scale score are able to get these services if their STAR reading and STAR math also show a need for additional assistance. So it's a 2-step process. Ultimately, we want to make sure all kids who are in jeopardy or who potentially may not master the standards have additional supports and are able to get additional help throughout the day from our amazing teachers to ultimately improve and master the assessment or master the standards. All staff who are going to be involved in this are going to be qualified, so they're going to be certified staff members. As we get into the group size, we have a maximum of 8, because this is going to be, it could go from individual to a small group setting, so that students get these services. To end services, once they show, based upon the same 2-step process, that they take the assessment and they're above the median scale score, or their STAR assessments are showing that we feel our students are going to be successful and master these standards, we could exit them from being labeled as AIS or within the AIS program. There's one bit of information that is very important, and it's parental involvement. So we have to be in constant communication with parents in terms of notifying them that their child is in the program, notifying them if their child exits, but also there's times where we have to provide quarterly progress reports. Parents have to have the chance to meet with teachers to discuss their child's progress. And also we want to share with parents during these meetings ways that they can help their child improve at home as well. So what the parents can do, what we could do as a school, ultimately to make sure all of our learners are being successful. So this plan is to provide supports for everybody to get to be mastering our state standards.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining that.
Do we have your permission to go ahead with the video club and the chess club?
It sounds like you're funding for the video club, and I'm sorry, the chess club was,
It was grant funded last year,
Right.
and we're fingers crossed that if we are able to post this position and the teacher or adult who's going to lead this club will reach out again and to their same funding source and get the grant approved as it was last year.
What was the cost of it? What was the cost of it? It wasn't grant funded.
I'm not 100% sure.
It was about, the chess boards were bought last year with the grant funding, and the person gets like 1810. It's a level 1 stipend.
$1,810. How many weeks is it?
Runs usually from like November till I think May. I meet like once a week for like an hour.
I have no objection. I want to vote on it tonight.
We just want your permission to go ahead and post, and you're not approving the individual.
Oh, you're posting it.
Yeah, we still have to post them, but we did.
Right.
These are not clubs that are in the STA contract at this time, but you did run the chess club last year with grant funding, and the video club is totally grant funded. It's just an anonymous donor.
right, okay. I'm
fine
with that.
Post it, yeah.
Thank you. Help.
Thank you.
Enrollment report?
Okay, so thanks to Eleanor Whitmore, we have 3 additional students that we didn't anticipate in UPK. That brings up your total number of enrollment pre-K to 8th grade up about, from last year, 2 students more at this time last year. So your K through 8 is at 656 right now, 4 down from last year at this time, and your pre-K brings you up to 713 compared to 711 last year. So pretty consistent with the previous year at this time. On the high school level, I want to call out to you on 9th and 10th grade, you see the numbers are about what we have seen in the past. 84, 82 students per grade. The 2 grades that we got hit last year that we're still struggling with are 11 and 12. So that's where you see 113 students in 12th grade. If you remember, a few years back, we had a large 8th grade. That was about 90. There your 11th grade is right now. So they stayed about true. 90 was what they left here with, and they're up to 94. Ungraded, we did get another student ungraded, but that student came from Southampton to East Hampton, which is actually a little less expensive for us. Our special ed numbers and our high school numbers, I want to give you 2. So in gen ed, you budgeted 350. We're at 334. That is after our September bill. We actually have rectified our bill. We did find 5 students using that True View that were not residents of Springs. On the ICT model, or the hybrid model as we call it, we budgeted for 30. There are actually 29 students in that program right now. The special ed, as I said, we had an additional student from Southampton, so we reduced our number in Southampton, which we budgeted 3. We're now down to 1, and we have 8 at East Hampton out of the 9 that we budgeted for self-contained special education program. That's your most expensive program. So we continue to monitor registration very closely. We did all the grades at the high school with True View. We did them a little bit at a time, and we will continue to monitor the registration on all fronts, but especially at the high school.
Right, okay. But it sounds like having a student move from Southampton to East Hampton was actually, even though we have another student in East Hampton, it's actually a savings compared to the education and what they were in Southampton.
Right, and that was parental choice.
Right, okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, superintendent search update on posting and survey. You know, we've had some responses so far.
Yeah, so the survey is still open till, I believe it's November 17th, the same time as the closing on the posting for superintendent. So far, we've had 114 responses. 26 of them have been teachers. 17 have been staff members, parents, 59 parents, or 51% of our parents. Community members, we've reached out every which way to community members. Most recently, I think we received an email to just send them the code, the link, because it was too much for them to type in. So I think it was somebody that wasn't familiar with technology, but we were able to send the person a better link that they could get on. 27 community members and 4 others. Okay. 114 responses. On the application front, as we said, OLAS would be the place that we would just collect data, as well as anybody who subscribes to OLAS would be getting the posting. But it was posted on CASE. It was posted on the web for New York State school boards. And the minute that was posted, we saw some applications from upstate. You can see how that posting in that publication did a wider range. We did not post in the New York Times. They only would take a credit card for online, and we do not have any credit cards in the district. But they wanted like 5,000 for 4 lines in the newspaper, which again, you know, we think online is the way to go. So I think we've got a wide net. CASE is an organization for administrators. I saw it on their posting as well. So people pick it up and then they post it. I posted it on LinkedIn and got over 900 responses. Like, I was able to see how many people actually opened the posting. We did it Indeed.
Yeah, no responses on Indeed.
No responses from Indeed.
All right.
And 2 papers.
Can somebody pay for a Times ad with a credit card and get reimbursed from the school? Does that?
If you want to go that way.
$5,000?
No.
5,000 is for paper.
Yeah.
For print.
Yeah,
Online,
was,
what was it, 500?
I think it was 650.
650.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it's going with what we're getting here.
We have 10 applications right now. And as I said, once it went on New York State school boards, you saw the applications from really assistant superintendents from upstate.
Okay. All right. See what happens. Okay, so we have next workshop meeting.
Put some topics for the next workshop.
Which is November 14th, right? Yes. Do we need going over goals? Do we need to go
Goals,
over
yes.
goals? Right.
Maybe we could put a calendar together with all of us here together, the days for committee meets.
What was that, Pat?
Maybe we could, all 5 of us here, we could pick the dates on the calendar for committee meetings.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think committees that kind of need to figure those out amongst themselves with their members that they have, right?
Yeah, but also, but some people on multiple committees, right?
You sent that out, Rachel, to the board member that is the representative for those committees?
We're Kendra and I were working on it today. We shared a Google Doc with you, just some clarifications.
Oh, okay.
Right, and once we get we'll get new committee emails together with everyone on the committee, and
that's what they're working on.
Yeah, so we have mostly everyone's name. We just didn't know if everyone's grandfathered in from last year, or if there were some people that we weren't sure on who was
Right.
in.
I think we had the people that were approved earlier at
yes.
the last meeting or so it would be those people. Not
right.
The
people that were, so there were a few people from last year that we don't know if you just keep them on.
I would say if they were not on the current approved list, then we're not keeping them. People have re-signed.
Right, they had to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll go through it tomorrow with you.
Great.
Anything else for our workshop?
Well, what about the PTA? They have some great ideas coming up. Give them a little bit of time. Be with us. It's a suggestion.
Have a PTA meeting with the board at a workshop?
Just good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just, I don't know if they want to do the whole thing. It's a workshop. You just, no idea what they'll come up with.
Right. Yes. Okay.
What about the PTA meet and greet? Would that include that, or is that a separate thing? Do you want us to-
That might be a separate thing that we could, we did that PTA board meet and greet last
Yeah, that was
year.
open to like the general PTA membership and actually everyone, well, no, it was membership only, I believe.
Right, yes,
Last school year in the gym, like a circle,
right,
which I think was really nice because it created like a less formal environment for people to just have a chat with you. So if that's
Right.
something additional that you're thinking about doing, I would say that'll be a great idea.
okay, should we talk about that at the workshop and figure out, okay,
And figure out a date.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 3 things right there, that's probably good, unless
start.
something else comes up.
Yep.
Yeah.
In case we have any,
Thank you.
search stuff to go over, okay.
So I was hoping tonight to have a report and recommendations from Sergeant Aversa on electric bikes on school property. But as you know, we're dealing with continued threats this week. Not to Spring School, but to our neighbors right next door, Amagansett. Hampton Bays had something this morning, Southampton last week. So he's been a little delayed in getting something out to all school districts. So what the issue is, electric bikes pose another safety issue on school property. We ask our students to get off their regular bikes right here on School Street, walk the bike up because they're going against traffic. So here's an electric bike now going up at Holtz Lane against traffic in the road. But it's not just here. It is throughout Suffolk and Nassau County. These electric bikes are posing, different issues on school property. So we need new guidance from the police department and then probably policy, Barbara,
Right.
on.
Well, we should probably ask Marianne if there
Yes.
are any policies available currently. How big of an issue is, I mean, how many students are coming to school on e-bikes?
It's not just students, it's also parents.
Ah, gotcha, okay.
It's another means of,
Transportation, when they're doing 35,
Transportation.
40 miles an hour.
but there are rules. There are
Right.
safety rules that should be going, like they should be going with the traffic. And
Yes.
even myself coming in the morning, sometimes I'm hit with a light. And I'm like, how could that be coming at me on this side of the road? Like it's not riding with me, it's riding at me in the morning. And and they're not on the sidewalk because they really can't ride an electric bike on the sidewalk. So they're in the street. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it'd be good to get some guidance on that.
Okay. So he had promised it, but as I said, they've been busy. They get called to all of these threats and they do sweeps.
Has it been an immediate issue? Do you think it's an immediate issue for the school property?
I think it's something that has to be addressed by the police department so that we have some weight. Ed Holtz Lane has always been a problem because it's not a town road. We have to clear it when it snows.
Right.
But yet others would argue that it is a town road and you don't have jurisdiction over it. We've got walkers walking up here and we've got cars going this way. And it's just a safety issue, really. I just want to keep everybody safe.
The electric bikes, electric scooters, it is pretty heavy out there.
Huh?
The electric bikes and electric scooters all, they go pretty fast. And they,
Yeah.
they don't follow traffic. They follow bicycle path on an electric scooter. Like they follow the rules of bicycling. With bicycle, you ride against traffic, right?
No, the bike-
Bike about with traffic.
No, the
walking
bike
against
goes
traffic.
with traffic.
Like, yeah.
If you're walking, it's against traffic. So when you get this headlight at you in the
And they're going the
morning
wrong way.
and you want to swerve to avoid them, what's going to happen? You're going to swerve to avoid the bike that's coming at you on the right, and you're going to hit the traffic on your left. And then if there's a child at the high school, at that hour in the dark, there are high school students standing out on corners.
Yeah.
So
You think Mr. Obzava's maybe make a workshop? That might be a good workshop.
Well, I think that we just need to get guidance from the police first before we, let's get that.
and then you have to just
No, I'm
change
saying
the
rather than
policy.
present, you could talk to us at a workshop about it.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Well,
and guide us at a workshop versus a board meeting.
right, well, let's see if we can see when we
Yeah,
get
what's
something from
available.
them, and if
Yeah.
that works with this schedule, maybe like a regular meeting presentation is better for something
That might
like
work
that
too,
than
yeah.
a workshop. All right, thanks, Deb. We have time for public commentary number 2 right now on other items. If somebody wants to address the board about something, either on LTV, someone calling in, or somebody who is here, hand raised.
My name is Margaret Doyle. I really just want to follow up on the last board meeting and clear up some misinformation that was given to the press. The starting salary for new certified teaching assistants in spring school is $23,580 and not $23,874.75. That was quoted by our superintendent in the East Hampton Press. She also stated that paraprofessionals in the East Hampton School District start at $29,160. And while that information may be correct, we are not paraprofessionals. Paraprofessionals in the Spring School District are called aides, and we are not aides. We are certified teaching assistants. And that position in the East Hampton School District has a starting salary of $36,390. But the newspaper only quoted the paraprofessional rate, which could lead people to believe that a paraprofessional and a certified teaching assistant are the same thing, when in this case, they are not. As per our contract in spring school, the starting salary for an aide or a paraprofessional is $19,127. And the starting salary for a certified teaching assistant in spring school, as stated earlier, is $23,530. As you can see from the numbers, East Hampton start their certified teaching assistants at nearly 13,000 more than spring do. Again, all we, the certified teaching assistants, are asking for is a fair and equitable living wage. But it's important that the public know the truth. And it's also important that the board, when making policy, are also given the correct information. How can you as a board make informed decisions if the information provided to you is incorrect? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would somebody else care to address the board?
Hello. My name is Kristen. I just wanted to ask you guys a couple questions based on earlier we were speaking about high achievement and mastering state standards. I wanted to inquire with you guys, what is the status of filling the AIS math position that we lost earlier this year? I understand that there's a teacher on leave through December. I think it was posted. I just wanted to know what the status of that is.
We posted it and we've got 2 applicants and they did not meet our expectations.
Much like you opened up the position for the Spire, are you opening up opportunities for teachers to teach math throughout the day and extra time to fill that position?
We were hoping to reach out to the individual that's on leave to find out the status.
Are you going to repost the position?
After we find out the status of that person.
Okay.
So that will change, we believe it will change the number of applicants we get.
Okay. That's a concern for me, is that they're a great teacher, because at the beginning of the year, we met with other math AIS teachers, and they said that they don't have room in their schedule to service 3rd grade students. And that's a major problem. We really need that position back, and I hope that you reconsider finding a teacher to fill that position as soon as possible. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about was what is the district's plan for selecting new programs in math and language arts going forward? I think this refers to the finance and also budgeting. Last year, the math team left off with Christine Cleary, and they were very close to finding a new math program, but they tabled it. I also wanted to know what is the budget for these types of programs? Like, what are you budgeting? Because I know that the programs cost $200,000 and above. So I think if we are looking for our students to have high achievement and master the state standards, that we really need to provide them with quality and relevant programs. So I hope that we're putting a plan in place, and I hope you have a big budget for a new curriculum, because we really need it. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here, we're calling it LTV.
We have no callers at this time.
Thank you very much, everybody. In that case, do I have?
What's with these nice color books we got here?
Oh, so a friend from BOCES who lives out here on occasion dropped by those coloring books that were created by BOCES students, and they were given out to all second graders, and they're on careers, which goes along with our standards and along with Mr. Kelt's theme. And she came to check out
How many copies did you get?
the facility. We got enough for all of second grade, and I believe there might be a handful, about maybe another 20 sitting in Mr. Kelt's office.
No, these are really nice.
Thank you, Pat, for reminding me about that. Yes.
I like the idea.
Do you want some more?
I do not have any more because that color in the lines. But I will donate mine to what it will.
Oh, okay. It was there for you to see what BOCES is doing. It was really nice of her to drop in more.
Any other questions at this time?
Monique. I was trying to reach my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Monique Sullivan, second grade teacher and a school in the district. I just wanted to know, I think that Mrs. Keys brings up some really wonderful points. And you may not have an answer right now, but I just was a little discouraging not to even hear you say, we'll get some answers for you next time we meet. Like, it takes a lot for people to come up here and for us to share what we're concerned about. I leave 4 children at home when it comes to these meetings. I know you guys all leave your lives at home to come to these meetings. So just like a little acknowledgement of, you know, those are important topics, and we'll get back to you. I know I'm really concerned about our English language arts curriculum. There's a ton of news and buzz going on behind Teachers College, and the fact that it hasn't been addressed yet, I think it's a big problem for our population. So I just would like some follow-up on what Mrs. Keys.
We can't tell you that we're going to get back to something like that the next meeting. I'm not going to say something like that to somebody, because it's very likely not going to happen.
Okay.
This is a huge question about instructional material, which I know our, what was the committee that went into that last year? The site-based committee spent a lot of shared decision-making committee, looked into that a lot. They left off without finding something. As you well know, we have a new administrative team here. So this is not something that the board can answer you anytime
But
soon.
Ms. Ann, respectfully, and I apologize, but every time I get up at this podium, I feel like I'm not given the respect of a taxpayer. I didn't say that.
But you
And
did
so
just ask for, like, to say,
No,
could we have an answer for next month? We can't
I
give you
didn't
an
say
answer.
that. I asked for acknowledgement of an important question that Mrs. Keys brought up. And so I'm just saying that I would like to be respected as a taxpayer in this community. And I'm just bringing to light that Mrs. Keys's question was not even acknowledged. And that's all I'm saying. And if that could just be a discussion, we will get back to you whenever we can
just an acknowledgement. I'm not saying, I didn't ask for an answer tonight. I didn't ask for an answer next week. I just feel like every time we get up, we're seen as just teachers, and we're not. I'm very concerned about my children's own education. And that's why I come to these meetings, because it means a whole lot to me. I'm not getting up here to be a pain. I'm honestly up here because I want the very best for the kids that I teach and also for my children.
And hearing from taxpayers like you is important to us. You got up and advocated very strongly for pre-K because you live in this community and you wanted that. I think we were very, the board was, we heard you.
Yeah.
As and you're someone who feels comfortable being able to come here and speak up because you are familiar with the school, which some parents may not.
It doesn't feel like it's welcome often. Right. So I'm just letting you know it doesn't feel like welcome when I do get up and.
But coming to a board meeting is not necessarily a discussion and getting answers. There are some things that we can give answers to, and there are some things that we can't. And saying, I'm going to say thank you when you come up here because I appreciate people coming up here. I said thank you to Mrs. Keys when she sat down. I said thank you. So that is, I'm going to acknowledge you, even if we can't always respond to something with an answer to the question and make a commitment to something like an educational program, which is, as you mentioned, it could be very expensive. And we're looking at a lot of expensive things right now. We have to figure out in this community, which you're part of, what are we willing to make commitments to financially? We want to, we're talking about raising salaries. I'm talking about adding programs. This is all a juggling act here for this community, of which we're your representatives. We all have to figure this out together, how we're going to go ahead and do this. How are we going to pay for all this stuff that we want? And I was really pleased to hear the PTA talking about wanting involvement in that respect, because hearing what this community wants helps the board make a decision, and getting out the vote to make sure we can pay for that is how that's going to happen. So that's, we're all here working on this together. And if you don't feel welcome, that's nobody's intention here. But we can't always, and a lot of board meetings, people are not responsive to members who come up. They just say thank you. We really try to be responsive here and answer more than many other boards would do. So it's.
I know I did start off saying I'm not looking for a response. There was no acknowledgement of Mrs. Keys's question. There wasn't an acknowledgement, and this has been a topic that we have brought up several times. I've brought it up over many years, and so although I'm not looking for an answer next meeting or even the meeting after that, it's not been something that's been acknowledged, and it's a repeated question that we as both educators and taxpayers have been bringing up quite frequently, especially because we know now there is no science behind this curriculum that we're using to teach children how to read. So it's a big problem for me. But I just wanted acknowledgement because I think it's a very important question, and that was all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Summer, I spoke before.
Yes.
With the audit report, is that public or is that just for the board and administration? Will that be posted anywhere for taxpayers to peruse?
I think that's.
I'm not sure how much of it.
I'm not sure how much of that
because it's personnel and it's payroll.
Yes.
Right. If a redacted version could be available, I'm not sure if possible, that would be great, just saying. Okay. And then another thing, Ms. Winter had mentioned that other districts were having security threats going on. I would love to see our school implement a policy of a annual school-wide evacuation coordinated with local PD. I know that we have an evacuation plan in place, but we do not practice a school-wide evacuation coordinated with our police and our parents for pickup. And other districts do it. And I know that East Hampton does it, Southampton does it, and I think it would be a good practice for our district to do.
I feel like we've done that before.
Because we go to the evacuation sites, but we don't do reunification because reunification takes place at sports time, and then you're asking parents to leave their jobs to come pick up their children when it's really not an emergency. But we met with the police department on Monday morning, Mr. Pelt, and we're looking at alternatives. Like, these threats have not been building wide, they've been district wide. So when you're a 3-tiered system such as East Hampton, you can't put all your children on one bus and get them. You got to do one group first, and then the next group, and then the next group. So we're going to work out agreements where we will be the evacuation site for, let's say, East Hampton High School, because it's close, and they will do the same for us. Well, our entire school could fit in their auditorium and could, easily do a reunification in an orderly fashion.
But you're saying here, we are practicing the evacuation, just not the.
We have gone to the three buildings and then walked back.
Right.
Now, it's a good point to have an alternative to that, because when we really had an emergency at the general store, if you remember, there was no way we could have done an evacuation to those 3 sites. We would have, our buses were loaded. We could have gone to Sports Time, where we already have an agreement with Sports Time. But to do one where you ask parents in the middle of the day to come pick up your children for something that's not real, I don't think even town of East Hampton would say that. In fact, since you brought that up.
East Hampton has done it at John Marshall.
Maybe at John Marshall, but since you brought it up, one of the things that publicly the police department told us is when Southampton evacuated, people felt that they didn't evacuate soon enough. You can't evacuate outside if you don't know if there's a threat outside. That threat that came in to have you evacuate could be just that, to get you out of here. So the police department has to sweep your buses, your fields, if you're going to evacuate to the field, or if in their case, evacuating to a church next door. So you have to take time to make sure you sweep that other spot so that it's safe before you evacuate out of the building. So that takes time. And that is one thing I wanted to make clear, that if we were to evacuate, the police would have to check out those 3 buildings to make sure that we weren't taking our kids to someplace that wasn't safe.
To that point, do they have to sweep the evacuation site as well?
Yes, exactly.
So all of that will get coordinated in terms of the site and the destination.
Right. So what they usually do is they lock out first so that nobody comes in, and then they sweep, and then they'll let you evacuate.
Can you find out how John Marshall held that? I think what you're looking for is police cars and fire trucks.
No, all I'm asking for is for the school to consider having an annual evacuation to an off-site location. That's it.
That's
We
what
look
you're
into it.
So they
You didn't do it this year, and we didn't do it last year. I'm just
And
asking.
then we
you
had
haven't done-
COVID the other
Okay.
2
You
years.
haven't done it in a couple of years.
Right.
Pre-COVID was the last time.
Pre-COVID, so we're
Correct.
looking
Okay.
at.
So we have not done it.
So you're not looking for parent pickup, just that
I'm
everybody
just
knows how to get off
looking
the
that
track.
we
Gotcha.
Practice evacuation from our school
Thank
to an
you.
off-site location.
Gotcha.
Just look at it. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Gotcha.
Okay. So are we all done? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Was that a motion? or no?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, second? All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much.
Hey, Barbara.